Okay, what you saying, people, and welcome back to my channel. Now today we've got another weekly forex analysis. Now if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also leave a like. That's all appreciated. And whilst you're at it, make sure you follow me on my Telegram channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description. So I'll be posting a lot of different trading setups throughout the week and you don't want to miss out on that. But like I said, we've got another weekly forex analysis. So let me stop talking and let's get into it. Up first, we've got Euro USD. Okay, so for Euro USD on the daily chart, you can still see we're moving sideways in the market here. We've got clearly got a support there, and clearly we've got a resistance there. And we need to see price break either to the upside or to the downside to see some real direction in this pair. As before, you can see we had a big push to the upside, and now price has found some resistance and is struggling to break through. So you could be seeing potentially a swing to the downside as price breaks through the support level and gives a nice retest, and we can look for short entries there. But as of yet, you can still see price action there. It's just moving sideways. There's no real direction for Euro USD at the moment in time. So until we see a break of the upside or to the downside, we don't see any real direction for this pair. We're still favoring a break to the downside just because of the big move we have had to the upside, and you do expect some retrace in the market. On the weekly, clearly you can see there big push to the upside, and our last resistance in the market here was around this area. Our last significant resistance on the weekly chart was around this area. So if we see a pullback in the market, we could be expecting price to come back and retest this area. And again, if I go to the monthly, actually, you can see that we've actually broken out of our monthly trend line in the market. So potentially could be seeing price continue further in the overall picture. But first, we could be seeing some retrace in the lower time frames, like the daily and the weekly, potentially to go and retest that trend line again, or retest our resistance, now support over here in the market. So again, as of yet, we're just clearly moving sideways. So we need to see a break of Euro USD to either direction to get a bit more clarity. But if we do see a break to the downside, which we are favoring, can definitely be looking for some shorting opportunities there. Now we're going to take a look at USD JPY. Okay, so for USD JPY on the daily chart, you can see that this week we had a move to the downside from this area of the market here. We were moving sideways for quite some time when we finally broke out to the downside, and we're back at the same level down here. And we can definitely be looking for some buys here, just because we're at some strong weekly support. If we go to the weekly time frame and move this across, you can see where we are in the market. Very strong weekly support, push to the upside, push to the upside, wick rejection here, push to the upside, another push to the upside from the same area again and again there not too long ago. So we're at very strong support, and we can definitely be anticipating a move to the upside from the area of the market we're at. On the daily, you can see that we're starting to get some small body candles now when we're coming up to this area. So the bears are running up momentum, and we could be seeing a push to the upside early next week. So we can definitely be looking for some buys from that area. Of course, if we remain bearish, we can still see price go and break that level, and if that's the case, again, we wait for price to give us some bearish signals where we can look to enter the market on a retest or some resistance, and I'll pull back and look to carry on that move to the downside. But currently we're coming up to very strong support, so you can be expecting a reaction to the upside from here. And as long as we get some bullish price action, we can definitely be looking for some setups to the upside there, and potentially see price move to the upside. And we could be looking at price coming up to this area here on the daily chart as initial targets. As you can see here, was previous daily support for us. So you expect it to act as resistance, and we could probably be seeing a move to the upside to go and test that area at least early next week. So that's what we'll be looking for. Okay, so up next we've got USD CAD. Okay, so now for USD CAD on the daily time frame, you can see we've clearly found some support in the market around here, and we've had an initial push to the upside. Now the past few days we've just been moving sideways. If I zoom in, you can see a little bit better. So we've clearly got some support around here, and you can see resistance again, and now support again for us. And price is literally stuck at that level. It's trying to break below and break above, but failing to do so. We've clearly got resistance here in the market as well, which is trapping price. As you can see, support over there, resistance again here, resistance again there, and the resistance again there with that wick a couple of days ago. So again, we've got this level where price is stuck at. We need to see price break above or below to give us some real direction and a swing in the market. If we see price break above, we can definitely be seeing price push to the upside and possibly give us a nice uptrend in the market. And again, if we break below, we'll probably be expecting price to come back and test our initial lows down there, and either carry on the downtrend or give us a nice double bottom around there. But currently, again, you can see the price action, we're just moving sideways, but we're still anticipating a swing to the upside. As you can see on the weekly, coming from a place of value here, we got a clearly strong support for us in the market here previously, big push to the upside, and we'll come back to test it again. So again, you expect us to have a reaction there. As you can see in the weekly, had an engulfing pattern last week, so we can probably be expecting price to continue to the upside, where we're expecting price to come and give us a test of this area here. As you can see, previous support for us, so again, we expect it to go and act as resistance, and we'll probably be setting our targets for price to reach there at least for us if we get a nice break to the upside on the daily time frame. But as of yet, we're just moving sideways for USD CAD, but we're still expecting a break to the upside, and if we do, we can be targeting this level around here. Now let's take a look at Euro GBP. Okay, so for Euro GBP on the daily chart, you can see we recently had a push to the upside, and we found some resistance around here, and you can see we had a move to the downside, which we were expecting to have this week. And you can see why if I go to the weekly chart. Last week I was talking about this area in the market which we were at. This is the weekly time frame. You can see weekly resistance we're at, test here, move to the downside, test here, another move to the downside again, move to the downside again and again. So we're expecting to see another rejection from this area and a move to the downside. Obviously price could have continued to the upside, but the likelihood was a lot less, and we were favoring a move to the downside because of the resistance we're at in the market and the strength of it. And you can see that we've had that on the daily chart, and we've had that move to the downside. On the weekly chart, you can see that it came to this area here, which was our previous resistance, and now acting as support for us. And we were expecting price to go and at least test that area. And again, you can see we've got that wick rejection on the weekly, as price was rejected from that area. On the daily chart, you can see we had those bullish candles. Overall, we are expecting Euro GBP to continue to the downside from that weekly level there. It could be a case where we come up a little bit first, perhaps go and test the recent highs again, and then give us a nice little double top, and we look to short the market there. But again, we're just expecting price to continue to the downside. Obviously currently you can see we're a little bit bullish with the daily price action there, so technically we could be seeing another push, but overall we do expect a downtrend to continue, so only we'll be looking for shorts here for Euro GBP. So if you do get another move to the upside to go and test that same area, definitely be looking for shorts for Euro GBP, as we're favoring a longer move to the downside to be coming soon. Up next, we've got AUD USD. Okay, so for AUD USD on the daily chart, you can see we still have this uptrend in the market. We are running with a little less momentum now. We do have this trend line which price is respecting quite well. As you can see, we've got multiple tests of this trend line. Initially here, again there, again there, again there, and recently again there. So if we see a break of this trend line, we could probably be seeing a nice swing to the downside. But again, price is still respecting this trend line so far, and you can see we're struggling to break through the trend line, but also breaking away as well with all those dojis and wicks to either side. So you can see still a little bit of indecision in the market, but we're still respecting this upwards trend line. On the weekly chart, you can see we just broke through the 200 moving average, and we've got a couple dojis on the weekly chart. Again, indecision on the weekly there. Price is like just above that 200 moving average. If you do get a swing to the downside, we're aiming for price to potentially go and test this area here. As you can see, previous resistance for us there, resistance for us there again. So if we get a swing to the downside, you will probably be seeing from a weekly perspective, price come and test this area again here. if we do get a swing to the downside. So that's what we'll be looking for AUD/USD. But currently you can see we're still respecting this trend line. So if you do see a break, you can wait for a retest on the lower time frames like the 4H, get some nice bearish price action, and then look to carry out the swing to the downside. Or if you do get another push to the upside, potentially looking for a nice double top at that same area. But as of yet, we're still respecting that trend line and not really moving with much momentum for AUD/USD. But again, still expecting a swing to the downside to come soon, and we could be looking for shorts either if price comes back up here, or if we break the trend line and have a nice retest. Now let's take a look at NZD CAD. Okay, so for NZD CAD on the daily chart, you can see we're having a move to the upside. Price came back to this area in the market here, which was our previous as resistance in the market, as you can see here, and now it was our support, and we've had a push to the upside from that same area. And you can see we've had a nice push. This was a pullback, and then you can see pricing continue to the upside after breaking this level that I was talking about last week. You see a break, we can be expecting price to continue to the upside, and then possibly go and test our highs that we've had over here. So that's what we're expecting for NZD CAD to continue to the upside, at least to go and test our highs up here, and then we do possibly can be seeing another move back to the downside from there. Then again, if we don't go and break it and then continue higher. But from a daily perspective, we're seeing price still looking bullish, and probably can be expecting that momentum to continue until we at least reach these highs anyway, and then possibly can we look for some short setups to take a trade to the downside from this daily resistance. On the weekly, again, you can see we're still looking quite bullish. We are coming up to the 200 moving average, where you do expect to see a reaction in the market. So again, we've got those wicks to the upside around this area, around this same area on the weekly chart. So again, you can see some resistance in the market. So we can be expecting a move to the downside to come soon. Obviously, we can see on the daily we're still looking bullish. So there's no bearish setups for us yet, but definitely could be expecting some bearish setups when we get to these highs for NZD CAD, and looking for a move to the downside to potentially go and test the same area again, which was our previous resistance. So again, we expect it to act as support for us if we do get a move to the downside. But that's what we'll be expecting for NZD CAD in the next coming days. Next, we're going to take a look at GBP NZD. Okay, so for GBP NZD on the daily chart, you can see we had a big bearish move in the market for the past few days, and now we're back at this same area of the market here, which was our previous support, where we had the initial move to the upside from. And if I go to the weekly chart, we're actually just gone and tested the weekly trend line. As you can see, we've had multiple tests of this trend line. We've had multiple there, again there, push to the upside, again there, push to the upside, and now we're testing that same area again, including our daily support that we initially had that move to the upside from. So again, as you can see in the daily chart, we've got that support there, and we've also got the trend line as well. So we could be seeing another reaction to the upside for GBP/NZD, and expect some higher highs from this area in the market, because we're at a significant area. But then again, the market is currently looking quite bearish on the daily time frame. So if price does continue and remains bearish, we'll probably be seeing a break of this support area and that weekly trend line, and then we could be looking for a retest of that same area, and then looking to carry on that bearish move to the downside, and watching that continue. But as of yet, since we still haven't broken that daily support, and we still haven't broken that trend line, we can definitely be looking for longs in this market. But again, if the momentum continues, we can also be looking for shorts as well. But for GBP/NZD, could be seeing a move to the upside in the next coming days. Okay, so let's see what's happening with CAD JPY. Okay, so for CAD JPY on the daily chart, you can see we recently had a move to the downside, as you can see in the past few days, and you can see where we've had it from this daily resistance there, and you can see previously we had a big move to the downside from that daily resistance. So you can see it is a significant area in the market where you do expect to see a reaction, and as you can see, we've had one and the move to the downside. Now we are coming up to a bullish trend line here. As you can see, initially had a test there with price closing below the trend line, then back above, then give us another test here. We had that move to the upside. Now we're coming up to that same trend line. We haven't quite had a test of it to the pip, but we're in that same area where you can be expecting a test of the trend line, and then from there we can be seeing possibly a swing to the upside as price continues that bullish trend. Or if you see a break of it, that trend line, we can be expecting to look for some retest of that area, and then looking for some short opportunities as we see a break of the trend line. Then CAD JPY continue with that bearish trend. But as of yet, we're coming up to an area of value here where you do be expecting some reaction. And if you do get reaction, could be looking for some bullish price action in the lower time frames for potential move to the upside. And if we don't, and we see the bearishness continue, again we can be looking for some pullbacks and looking to trade CAD JPY to the downside as we continue to the downside. But as of yet, we're not sure yet, so we'll wait for a test of that trend line and see what type of price action we get. Okay, so up next we've got GBP USD. Okay, so for GBP USD on the daily chart, you can see we recently had a move to the downside, and we found some support in the market around here. As you can see, previous support in the market over here, pushed the upside, resistance for us here, pushed the downside, and again we can expect it to act as support. And as you can see, last week I was talking about possible reaction to the upside from there. As you can see, we had a move to the upside, and we also came to test this area in the market here, which was our previous support, now again acting as resistance for us. As you can see here, acting as resistance. So you can see we had that push to the upside, acting as resistance. So potentially this could be just a pullback, and we can possibly be seeing GBP/USD continue with that bearish movement we initially had from the area up here, and really start a downward trend in the market and continue to the downside. On the weekly chart, we've got this trend line going through the market. If I zoom out, you can see we've had this trend line going through the market here, like so. We had a couple of tests up there. We had another test of the market around there, and again another test. And you can see initially we had a break of that market, but now of that trend line, sorry. Initially had a break of that trend line, but then again we closed back inside of it, and potentially you could be seeing that downwards trend continue to the downside as long as we take out this daily level here, which we had the initial push to the upside from. So in the market next week, if you see GBP/USD continue to the downside and go and break this level here, we can be expecting that downward trend to continue for us. But again, we found some resistance in the market, and we're expecting another move to the downside for GBP/USD. And last, we've got GBP CAD. Okay, so for GBP CAD on the daily chart, you can see we recently had a move to the downside from this area in the market here, and you can see why. If I spread this level across, we came up to some very strong resistance on the daily chart here. Multiple times we've been rejected and had moved to the downside, and you can see we just had another move to the downside from that same area. And again, if I go to the weekly chart, we also got this weekly trend line running through the market again, multiple tests of this same trend line. And as you can see, the price has been respected this trend line very well, and recently we had another move to the downside from that same trend line. And as you can see, we came up to this area as well on the daily chart, where we were expecting to see some type of bullish reaction here. And as you can see, we had a move to the upside because we came up to some daily support, and we had some nice bullish price action giving us a move to the upside. Now currently prices looks like it's retesting a previous daily trend line in the market. As you can see, we've had multiple tests of this trend line in the market. Had a false break up there a couple of times. Price came back and tested it here and there, and now we've had price test it again for us and give us some nice bearish price action around there. So potentially you could be seeing GBP CAD continue to the downside from this area, and this bullish move to the upside was just a pullback, and potentially see price continue to the downside in the next few days. Unless we see price break back into this trend line, we will probably be expecting a move to the downside. We found some resistance there and a move to the downside to go and test this daily support again, looks likely. And if you go and break that support, we can be expecting price to continue further. But for now, definitely found some resistance and we're retesting that trend line. And so unless we break back above this trend line, probably be expecting a move down to the downside for us. So again, we'll be looking for shorts for GBP CAD. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also leave a like, as all appreciated. And if you disagree or you agree, if you have any questions, just make sure you leave a comment and I'll make sure I get back to you. But till the next one, I'll see you later.